Hey everybody, I've gotten good reports on the shotgun mic, so hopefully everyone can hear me better. That's great. This could be my last video for a little bit because I'm going to be having surgery next week. So we're a little nervous about that. And last week's video was rather long. I gotta work on that, maybe edit it or re-record it in 2 parts or something. But anyway, but before we get to today's topics, we got to like to add the CK with Strip View. Everyone, please do the YouTube things, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification. Tell all your friends, order a t-shirt from our non-existent store, and, yeah. Alright. So, and of course, as always, I've got a, little funny anecdote sort of thing at the end, if, you do the YouTube things for me. And, yeah, so let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about today is dyeing one's hair, including one's beard. This applies to men and women. First off, regardless of your age or color you dye or anything like that. Oh, one thing I want to say real quick is I am not being endorsed by anyone. Trust me, no one is paying me to do or say any of this. This is just me giving you my experience in the matter. So, yeah. So, don't think I'm getting paid, because, trust me, I ain't. Alright. So, first off, you dye your hair. Important thing to get is Aussie 3-Minute Miracle. I suggest using it twice a week. At least until you've gotten some of that damage out. Leave it in for the full 3 minutes, maybe even closer to 5. Rinse it out. Use it twice a week. It'll help prevent damage to your hair. It's great. Also, dudes, you grow your facial hair out, and your girl's always complaining about it being scratchy or something like that. Use that 3-Minute Miracle on your facial hair. Leave it in for a good 5 minutes, though, because it takes longer because your facial hair is thicker, coarser stuff. And then it won't be all scratchy. So there you go. Now, this is men and women, but especially, obviously, my experience is more with men than with women in the hair dyeing department, which clearly I'm not doing. But, okay. If you are going to dye your hair, and women have a little bit more leeway with this than men do, don't be ridiculous, okay? First off, unless your natural hair color is pure ass jet black, do not dye your hair black, not ever. Generally speaking, you want to go a little, especially if we're talking about gray, okay? So we're talking about gray now. You want to go a little lighter, most likely. That way it looks more like you have highlights rather than you just dyed your hair jet black or whatever. Also, and this is important, if you have a lot of gray or a lot of hair loss, or a lot of wrinkles, like your face looks like Jack Palance. That's a joke for you older folks out there. Most of you young kids don't know who Jack Palance is. But anyway, if your face looks like worn leather, okay, do not dye solid, okay? You've got to leave gray in. You just gotta. Because if you dye it a solid color, the thought that a lot of people have is that it'll make me look younger if there's no gray. However, that's not how it works. You've got to remember there's a certain amount of psychology involved here. if someone sees someone that's clearly old enough to have gray, okay, and there's no gray, they know they dyed it, and they're automatically going to assume that you are older. And that's even if it doesn't look ridiculous. They're going to assume that you're older. Oftentimes, they're going to assume that you're older than you really are. And they're going to pay more attention to wrinkles, spots, all that stuff that ages our skin. Okay? So, once you reach a certain age, a certain look, a certain amount of gray, a certain amount of hair loss, which women can lose their hair as well. All right? You've got to leave a certain amount of gray in. Women, like I said, have a lot more leeway with this. It's a lot more socially acceptable, or whatever word you like, for women to dye their hair than for men. So they can go a little longer. But if you normally are just completely gray, and you dye your hair black, or even just brown, or whatever, people are going to know. And they're going to assume that you're older than you really are. So, it will have the opposite effect. All right? Now, I don't know how well the following advice works for women. But for men, there's just for men, touch of gray. All right? You use that. It leaves a certain amount of gray in, and you're gold. Because for the most part, if they can see gray, they're going to assume that's how much gray you have. Most people will assume that you're not going to dye your hair and leave gray in. Okay? So again, we're playing off the psychology here. Now, with your facial hair, all right, they make hair dye for your beard and mustache. Well, just for men does anyway. I'm sure there are other brands out there too, but I don't know anything about them. They aren't cheap at Walmart, so I don't know about them. I know what's cheap at Walmart. So, what you're going to want to do is use touch of gray on your facial hair. Most likely, men, your hair is short enough that one thing of just for men, touch of gray, is going to be enough to do your facial hair and do your hair. Okay? Put it on your facial hair first. It needs to be on longer than with the hair on your head. All right? Same reason as the 3-minute miracle. All right? Your facial hair is thicker, it's coarser, it's tougher. It doesn't take the color as well, just like it doesn't take conditioner as well. All right? So you're going to want to leave it on a good clip longer. At least a couple minutes longer, if not almost twice as long. And that's something you're going to have to play with a little, because everyone's a little bit different, especially with how their facial hair takes the dye. Okay? So, use it on your facial hair. Put it on your facial hair. Wait a minute or two. Maybe clean it up a little. Make sure you're not dyeing your skin too much. Then comb it into your hair. Wait the time it says. I think it's like 5 minutes or something. I mean, I have used it before, but it's been some time since I was self-conscious about the amount of gray I had. And I know you're looking and thinking it's not that bad. Everyone, trust me, those of you in your late 20s know, as soon as you start seeing just a couple of gray, you're like, oh my God! If you feel the need to dye your body hair, same rules apply. Anyway, I don't really even know anything about that, so I'm not going to even talk about that, okay? So anyway, so that's your advice on hair dye. All right? Go maybe a shade lighter than your natural color. If you've got a lot of gray or you just look very weathered, maybe it's the mileage, not the age. Sometimes it's the mileage, not the years, right? Then you need to leave a certain amount of gray. Use a touch of gray. It'll leave gray in your beard, in your hair. It'll look far more natural and will actually make you look younger. So there you go. Okay. We're going to talk about voting very quickly. Who I want to talk to is those of you, which are a large percentage of people, depends on the year, who don't vote at all. Okay? You know who you are. And I'm not going to guilt trip you about it. There are a lot of reasons to not vote. It's a hassle. Maybe you live in a place, maybe you vote red and you live in a red state. So it really doesn't matter. Or maybe you vote blue and you live in a red state, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't believe in the system and don't want to take part in their monkey elections. You know what they say, if elections mattered, they wouldn't let you do it. So, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let you do it. So, I just want to talk to the people who don't vote. Whatever your reasoning, I don't care. That's fine with me, man. Whatever your reason is. What I'm asking of you, though, a lot of people, almost anyone you talk to, regardless of their affiliation, unless they're very far left or very far right, agrees that one of the problems we have in the United States today is the two-party system, which first off is kind of a scam anyway, because they're all friends and family, and they're friends and family with the CEOs, and it's all a big racket from the ruler. They're friends and family with the media. Look at CNN and Cuomo. I think that's right. I don't know. Is it racist if I mispronounce Cuomo's name? I don't think so. We're both white. I don't know. Anyway, but he's not Irish, so yeah. So anyway, but I very much believe that the two-party system is a lot of our problem. And the thing we need is, and the closest party to getting, you need 5% of the vote as a party to be on the stage, to be on the platform, to be in the debates, all that stuff. Okay? And of course, the two parties made up the rules to keep everyone out. And they tightened those rules up after, oh dude, what was that dude's name? Early 90s. Oh my god, I can't remember. Because I hadn't planned on mentioning him. Ross Perot. The Democrats or Republicans tightened up the rules after Ross Perot, Jesse Ventura, some of those, the Reform Party started to gain traction, so they tightened it up to try to keep other parties out. Okay? So, the party that is closest to 5% is the Libertarian Party. All right? So, if half the people who don't vote, and less than half, if like a fourth of the people who don't vote, just vote Libertarian. And our candidate this year is Jo Jorgensen, and she is awesome. Okay? Vote your conscience, vote what you want for the country. And what most of us want for the country is more than two choices. And I won't even get into those two choices this year. Not this video anyway. So that's what I'm asking. If you don't vote anyway, vote for Jo Jorgensen. You don't even have to go. If you go to Google, type in your state. Like right now I'm in Nebraska. Okay, I'm registered to vote in Nevada. I did this the other day. You just go in and you go to Google and you type in Nevada absentee ballot, and it takes you to the website, and you tell them where you want to mail it, and that's it. It takes 30 seconds to get a mail-in ballot. All right? I know you're hearing on the news all this arguing and stuff over mail-in ballots, blah, 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 blah. It's all smoke and mirrors, dog and pony show, because it legit is like 30 seconds to get yourself a mail-in ballot. All right? So you don't want to bother voting. I get it. I respect it. There are a lot of very good reasons why not to vote. Okay? And everyone will tell you otherwise, and I'm sure people will say I'm terrible for saying it, but like we talked about earlier, there are a lot of good reasons not to. So, again, you're someone who doesn't normally vote for whatever reason. That's cool, but if we can get a small percentage of you just to vote for Jo Jorgensen, vote for the Libertarian Party in this election, all right, then the next presidential election, you will have 3 choices. And then we can talk about getting 4 and 5 and 6 and whatever. But at least we can get 3 choices instead of just the 2. We can get 3 choices, and that's just with people who don't vote, all right? If you really want to vote for Biden, awesome, vote for Biden. If you really want to vote for Trump, awesome, vote for Trump. I don't care who you want to vote for personally, all right? I'm just talking to the people who don't vote, who aren't going to vote, for whatever the reason. Take 30 seconds, get your mail-in ballot. You don't even need to buy a stamp. There's no postage due. Check Libertarian, stick it in the mailbox. That's it. And if just a few people, a small percentage of the people who don't vote, who aren't going to vote anyway, do that, we can have 3 choices on the ballot next election. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say JoJo's going to win. All right? She's not. You're not voting for that. You're voting so we, as a people, can have more choices in the future. That's what you're voting for if you vote Libertarian. There are other parties out there, and I'm not saying they're bad or anything. I'm just saying they're nowhere near 5%. The Libertarian Party keeps getting closer and closer to 5% because more and more people are getting tired of the 2-party system. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop there. Otherwise, this video is going to get way too long. Now, for your bonus content, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm gonna keep it kind of short and everything. I don't know how funny it is, but let me tell you, it has the most clever thing I've ever said in my life, in my opinion, anyway. All right. So, as a lot of you know, I've worked in I've worked in law enforcement, but I've worked security more recently. At casinos in Las Vegas, at nightclubs in Las Vegas, bouncing at bars, stuff like that, strip clubs, whatever. Anyway, so if you do that, you get a certain amount of gear. And so you go out and you're wearing, your BDUs or whatever, because it's just the clothes you have. You're not trying to be tactical. That's what we call it when you dress like you work in the profession when you don't. But anyway, you're not trying to be tactical. It's just that's what all your stuff is, And after a while, that's just what you buy. Like, well, I better get this bag so I can come up my flashlight on it. Anyway, so I was at Walmart one night, and this can happen if you work in law enforcement and security, or even if, you just train in martial arts and stuff like that. Sometimes you can feel this sense of social responsibility. So I was at Walmart one night with my buddy. This is in Las Vegas. And And I hear this girl screaming, "No, leave me alone, let me go." Look over, there's this older couple dragging a girl, late teens, early 20s, physically dragging her out of the store. And she's yelling, "Let me go, help me, blah, blah, blah." And no one is doing anything. And they're coming up to the guy working the door, and I'm thinking, okay, surely he's going to do something. No. So I can't just stand there, right? I can't just, I mean, so I go over there, and I go, hey, hold on, everyone, let's stop. This was before Corona, so there were benches. I'm like, just, why don't you guys just sit down? Let's talk about what's going on here. And then I look at the guy at the door, you know, the greeter or whatever, and he's diligent about checking people's receipts. Better make sure no one's stealing a box of Kleenex, but kidnapping? Yeah, he can't be bothered with kidnapping. So anyway, so I look at him and I go, radio for the police. Radio and tell them to call 911 and get the police coming. Okay. And he goes, okay. And he gets on this radio. And, so I said, well, what's going on here? And let them yammer around, and I don't know, man. They're talking about how they're gypsies, and they're talking about the drugs they use, all three of these people. I don't know. Anyway, she's saying that she's over the age of 18, and that she does not want to go with them, and they're saying she needs to, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, we're going to wait here until the police get here. And meanwhile, my roommate has finished checking out and is standing there going, what the hell is going on? What nonsense has Chris gotten himself into this time? Which, for those of you who don't know me that well, Chris often gets himself into nonsense. So, you can't blame the guy for being like, what? What is he doing now? Anyway, so they say to me, so anyway, at one point the guy starts to get suspicious. Like, wait a minute, why are we doing what this guy says? Just because he's using a commanding tone and is dressed kind of tactical, you know? And wearing his boots and his BDUs and whatnot. And so he says to me, are you an off-duty police officer or something? You know, like, okay, wait a minute. And starts, like, looking back at the girl like, we're just going to grab her and go. So what I say, and I'm very proud of myself for this. Obviously, I'm telling this story. What I say is, right now, I am just a concerned shopper. I'm not working. I'm not at work. I'm not on the clock. I'm just a concerned shopper, and we just need to wait for the police to get here. So, they assume I'm an off-duty cop. Clearly, that's what they assume. Because then all of a sudden they, oh, okay. So a cop shows up, and I'm like, hey, they're trying to drag this chick out of the store, blah, 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 blah. You got this? He says, yes. I go, all right, good. And I grab my roommate, and we skedaddle. But anyway, right now, I'm just a concerned shopper. So proud of that line. Oh my God. I don't think I'm ever going to say anything more clever than that in my life. I didn't lie to the guy. I never represented myself as anything other than what I am. But he believed what I needed him to believe to keep the situation from becoming worse. Okay? A lot of people would be scared of that sort of situation. It could become violent. They could have guns, da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, there are things that you size people up and look at their pockets and look for bulges and stuff like that. And of course, I did all that, and I kept them over there but I was still close enough that I could get to them, should I need to. But just with that one clever line, I was able to just de-escalate that situation. All right? So you never know. You never know. You can just be going to buy some groceries one night and stop a kidnapping with a clever-ass line. So, learn your clever lines, people. All right. So, I might do another video before surgery. I might not. We will have to see. But, I hope everyone stays safe, be careful out there, and be smart. All right. And this all, true story, man. True story, every word. All right. We'll see ya.